Good evening, welcome to Luntha television. It's time for the news coming to you live from Bishop Levy Media Center in Ariatoli Langwe, and you'll be with me, Palace Chizombe. Now let's take a look at the headlines. Pope Francis urges Christians to oppose war at all cost. Government reiterates its commitment to ensure reduced prices of goods amid economic hardships. Water Aid Malawi and ADRA Malawi partner in a bid to step up efforts to contain cholera in Malawi. Ethiopia Prime Minister holds talks with Sudan military ruler. Pope Francis urged Christians to oppose war and injustice where they appear, saying the Lord is grieved by indifferences and lack of understanding before sacrilege violence. He made the appeal on Wednesday when he celebrated Vespers at the conclusion of the week of prayer for Christian unity. The Pope also reflected on how all Christians are asked to reflect on their wrongs and change their perspective by always putting God at the center. Bridget Manoga leading a Rome report.
During his homily at Vespers on the feast of the Conversion of St. Paul, the Holy Father called for action to oppose war, violence and injustice wherever they begin to appear. Celebrating the liturgy to mark the end of the annual week of prayer for Christian unity in the Basilica of St. Paul's outside the walls, the Pope invited Christians of all denominations to change and walk the path of unity. The Holy Father reflected on the readings of the day that call for change and noted that Christians have to celebrate the joy of coming together as brothers and sisters in Christ in days that are so full of tragic and troubling news reports. He said various congregants could perhaps easily dispense with such biblical condemnations of the sins of society and be sensible to the profound unease of the times in which they are living. Pope Francis concluded by saying, gathering in God's name, one cannot fail to put his word at the center of things.
The government says it will not tolerate unjustified prices of goods that keep on skyrocketing amid economic hardships that the country is passing through. Trade Minister Maggie Katsonga Piri says it is more worrisome to see prices of locally made products like soap and salt are raised anyhow, a thing that put more consumers at panic. He made the remarks earlier today during Government Faces the Place edition, where he and other ministerial officials were addressing Malawians on the status of Malawi economy for the past, present and future outlook. Brandi Manza has more in this report.
The minister's address has come barely a week after he inspected some major shops across the country, where he noted with concern that most products are being overcharged beyond economic fundamentals, as most business operators put the devaluation of kwacha that occurred last year as a reason. During the Government Faces the Press edition, Minister of Trade and Industry Mark Katsonga Piri emphasized that his ministry is working tirelessly to address the unprecedented price hike to cushion poor Malawians. He also said, for example, they have summoned Ilovo Sugar Manufacturing Company officials to explain on the company's recent 76% increment of sugar prices in the country. Additionally, the minister said the government is working tirelessly to reinstate some companies which were closed, saying they are key to job creation.
Our biggest job is, one, to find out why these companies closed. Two, how can we reinstate them? Because they have to do with job creation. One of our campaign promises is to create jobs. But in the situation we are in, how do we continue to create jobs?
During his recent inspection, Katsonga observed that the price of sugar and bread were at 700 kwacha last year in January, but now they have gone up between 1,500 kwacha and 1,900 kwacha. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, I am Bernard Manza.
Anti-Corruption Bureau ACB Director General Luntha is currently facing a fresh lawsuit in relation to a leaked conversation in which she was heard discussing official matters with a third party. Court documents indicate that the new lawsuit is in relation to her statement, which alleged that High Court of Malawi Judge Simeon Igdeta was corrupt. This comes after the state purportedly withdrew charges against Chizuma following a complaint from former Director of Public Prosecution Stephen Kayuni over the same audio. Priska Mashushu has more in this report.
Chizuma's lawyer, Martha Gaukonde, says she had received the court documents today and that Chizuma will appear in court on Friday. She further said that they are waiting for the court's decision, hence much cannot be said.
Well, basically, it's a similar issue that former DPP lodged a case on, but this time around this judge is alleged to have lodged a complaint. So the documents have been served on us today, and he's supposed to appear tomorrow for the take.
Meanwhile, a social commentator, Humphrey Mvula, has said that the fight against corruption is very intense and strong in the country, as it is surprising that the issue has to undergo the same process. He also added that a lot of systems are politically and legally compromised, hence the issue should be dealt with in a proper manner.
It just shows that this fight against corruption is very intense. Very strong, and individuals will fight those that protect us or those that are fighting corruption. So this is basically a case which the president had intervened, and I think the nation was aware only last week. Very surprising that it would come up again through the same process, using the police to deal with the matter. So I think it is a sign that a lot of our systems are compromised. They are politically compromised or they are compromised legally. So I think it's a big problem. We just hope the matter will be dealt with again.
Chizuma was arrested early December last month over the same issue, and a commission of inquiry revealed that she was arrested over the linked audio, but charges against her were withdrawn as the arrest did not follow the right procedures. For Luntha TV, this is Priska Mashushu.
Comptroller of Statutory Operations Peter Simbani has disclosed that utility teams are digging deep to remit dividends as they are being owed billions of kwacha in unpaid bills by government ministries, departments and agencies. He made the revelations when he briefed Parliament's Public Accounts Committee in Lilongwe yesterday on why most of these utilities are struggling financially. In an interview, Simbani said as of December 2022, Electricity Supply Corporations of Malawi (ESCOM) was owed about 40 billion kwacha by government ministries, departments and agencies. Simbani explains.
I would be lying to you if I was going to quantify as to how much, because we are looking at 5 water boards. We are looking at ESCOM, all of them being owed some monies for some years. But what I told the committee was that up to 2020, the year ending 2020, government through Treasury was able to settle the outstanding amount through payment of what is called the promissory notes. So, but even with that, I think this problem of accumulating arrears by the security institutions, which is the Malawi Defense Forces, but also the Malawi Police Service, I think has continued over years. So it is a problem that is being looked at by government. And as I said, we encouraged these institutions to install prepaid meters so that the MDF and the Malawi Police should be paying for the water or for the electricity that they're using.
You are still watching news on Luntha television. Now let's have a look at the headlines once more before we proceed. Pope Francis urges Christians to oppose war at all costs. Government reiterates its commitment to ensure reduced prices of goods amid economic hardships. Water Aid Malawi and ADRA Malawi partner in a bid to step up efforts to contain cholera in Malawi. Ethiopia Prime Minister holds talks with Sudan military ruler. Welcome back. Water Aid in Malawi and ADRA Malawi have emphasized the need to intensify efforts in the national cholera outbreak response, noting that significant gaps exist. The remarks come as in response to the country's evolving cholera situation. The two organizations have partnered and stepped up their ongoing activities to support current efforts in containing and curbing the fever spread of the prevention disease. Earlier today, they donated wash items worth about 21 million kwacha to Christian Health Association of Malawi CHAM, which has been calling on the public and private sectors to support their efforts in controlling the ongoing cholera outbreak as they strive to provide essentials in health care that are affected in its facilities. Tandiwem Zumara has more in this report.
Despite the continuing efforts in the national cholera outbreak response, the country's cholera situation has escalated with over 30,000 cases recorded and over 1,000 people dying since the onset of the current outbreak in March 2022. In a bid to intensify such efforts, Water Aid Malawi and ADRA Malawi have partnered to support Christian Health Association of Malawi CHAM facilities with wash items. According to Water Aid Head of Programs Peter Piri, as a wash organization, they could not sit by and watch how people are succumbing to cholera, a disease that can be prevented if people observe hygiene practices, and by donating to CHAM, they hope to reach many hard-to-reach areas where it has facilities.
Looking at cholera, actually water, sanitation and hygiene are the key components that could actually help us to contain the outbreak. That's why as Water Aid, we could not just sit by, but intervene by the provision or by providing wash supplies, but also providing training to healthcare workers in terms of orienting them on wash and infection prevention and control.
In his remarks, Country Director for ADRA Malawi, Dennis Mategenya, said after observing that places where people gather like schools and health facilities can become epicenters for cholera infection, ADRA decided to make sure that in such places there is enough wash items to curb the further spread. Mategenya also emphasized on the need for increased community engagement and dissemination of communications around cholera prevention and positive hygiene practices to ensure behavior change.
We need as much training in education as much as that can change people's behavior. Because right now what we are seeing is that people seem to have the knowledge, but they are not motivated to translate that knowledge into behavior change. So the training that is needed is the one that is targeted at people's behavior more than just people knowing what to do.
Expressing gratitude over the donation, CHAM Director of Health Programs Eled Munyekonde said it is timely, noting that they have been striving to provide essential health care to those affected in its facilities, and so this support will help ensure that lives continue to be saved and a resilient health system is maintained during and beyond the current outbreak.
Also happy that Water Aid will also help some of our facilities to be able to be trained or to be capacitated so that they are able to handle this cholera response. And also the communities. Communities, they have different challenges related to wash. So we can have the vaccines, but it is not the main treatment or preventive intervention for cholera.
Some of the donated wash items include hand washing soap, chlorine, water buckets, mops, and boots, just to mention but a few. The support rendered also includes training of healthcare workers in terms of orienting them on wash and infection prevention control. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Tandiwem Zumara.
City Executive Director Sylvester Namiwa, together with Lilongwe City Council officials, inspected Central Portly 2000 Limited today to clear out the hearsay that flooded social media pages, claiming that the company refused to close after it was told to do so, and it still I will come again. City Executive Director Sylvester Namiwa, together with Lilongwe City Council officials, inspected Central Portlet 2000 Limited today to clear out the hearsay that flooded social media pages, claiming that the company refused to close the company and continued operating the next day after its closure. Namiwa said the act raised eyeballs, hence he insisted to inspect the place and requested City Council on the truth surrounding the matter. We have a report read by Bridget Mwanoka.
Namiwa said he had to do the inspection to see things for himself rather than just hearing different stories from various social media platforms.
We are here to ensure that every decision made by public officials should be subjected to public scrutiny, and we have just started. We are dealing with the lives of Malawians. We have got an outbreak before us, therefore we cannot afford to fold our arms and watch when we are losing now over 1,000 lives. Now, when we heard that there were issues with waste management here, Malawians were following with keen interest, and they noted, according to the information that was going around, they noted that some corners were cut. This is why we made a demand that we should come here, and we are thankful to the management of Central Portrait that we are here. We are thankful to the City Council authorities. They have demonstrated that they indeed understand that they are there to work for Malawians and they are accountable to Malawians.
In his remarks, Deputy Director of Healthy and Social Services, Jorex Kantohoma, explained that the sarcasm that flooded the social media is false, saying the City Council closed the Central Pottery Company after discovering that it established a large composting center within its compound without approval.
As a council, we are very, very satisfied. But what we need to advise further is to reclaim the area, maybe through some form of landscaping, until when a decision is made by government, when an approval is made by government, to allow them to be doing composting in this area.
Responding to the issue of rotten chicken waste and bad smell disturbing the community when the trucks are transporting the waste to the dumping site commonly known as Mtaya, Central Portly Staff Development Specialist Temweka Kazembe stated that the company developed new ways of packaging the waste to transport it to the dumping site.
Okay, first of all, we have learned that it is important to follow procedures. And as Central Portry, we are law-abiding people. It's a law-abiding company, so we will abide by the law. Now, in terms of proceeding forward, if we still really intend to proceed with the compost production, then I think the necessary procedures will be followed as directed by the Lilongwe City Council.
The company was closed after inspection on 3rd January as the composting center was producing unbearable smell, making it a conducive environment for breeding of flies.
And in sports, TNM Super Champions League, Nyasa Big Bullets has released Ghanaian defender Isaac Mbadu after his 2-year contract with the club was terminated by mutual agreement. Meanwhile, a statement released by the club did not mention anything regarding a transfer of their striker Hassan Kajoke, who reportedly signed for Silver Strikers. We have more in this report by King Major Kamaindo.
Nyasa Big Bullets have finally released the Ghanaian defender Isaac Bado due to poor performance while extending contracts for Ernest Petro, McFarlane Nguira, and Russia's Banda. A press release published on the club's website yesterday stated that the defender Haji Wali has been transferred, while also confirming the departure of midfielders Mishek Sermane and Jimmy Muidana. Badu, who is aged 30, former of House of Ark, had passed trials at Bures, while his compatriot midfielder Bright Agogo failed to impress the Caristo Passoa-led technical panel. The Ghanaian centre-back, who last played for Zimbabwean side Brawayo Chiefs, joined the People's team at the start of 2022 season and played just 2 competitive games against Kamuzu Barracks and Civil Service United. The release also stated that Haji Wali had been advised to look for another club. The defender has been advised to look for a club of his choice on the agreement that Boris and the new club will discuss the player's transfer. Wali joined the People's team in February 2022 from Silver Strikers. However, the statement did not indicate issues regarding striker Hassan Kajoke, who was reportedly signing a pre-contract with Silver Strikers. For Luntha News, this is King Major Kamwindo.
And in international news, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is in Sudan on an official visit to the country for talks with the country's military ruler, Lieutenant Eugene Abdel Fattah Belen. He was welcomed earlier today by the military leader on arrival in the capital city of Khartoum. Ethiopia's state television, ETV, reported that the Prime Minister would discuss ways to boost or allow relations between the two countries. Mr. Abiy's office said that during the discussions, the Prime Minister shared Ethiopia's solidarity with Sudan in the political dialogue process that they have embarked upon. Sudan's military and civilian groups have been in long-running negotiations to end the political crisis that followed the October 2021 coup. That concludes our today's news bulletin, but before we go, let's have another look at our headlines. Pope Francis urges Christians to oppose war at all cost. Government reiterates its commitment to ensure reduced prices of goods amid economic hardships. Water Aid Malawi and ADRA Malawi partner in a bid to step up efforts to contain cholera in Malawi. Ethiopia Prime Minister holds talks with Sudan military ruler. You have been with me, Fali Zombe. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and goodbye for now.